artist is someone who does everything well, whether it's a social worker, someone working in the grocery department at a local Safeway. You do your job well. D.H. Lawrence, the great English writer, said, someone who scrubs a floor well is an artist. A good teacher, a good architect, a good businessman, you're a writer, you're a photographer. You're the artist, not someone who just draws and paints. I taught history of art at UBC, but I didn't want them to be able to parrot off who is Jeff Koons or who is Damien Hirst. My students came out, hopefully, they became more creative people, more inventive people. I learned from my students. I respected my students. I had great people, whether it was a grade 6 class or whether it was a 4th year painting class. I used to take my students always to New York so they go and see the original of Van Gogh's Starry Night, or the original of Picasso's Damoiselle d'Avignon. You've got to have passion about this. If you're a writer, you've got to know something about other writers. If you're a musician, you've got to know something about music. You've got to be passionate, not just contemporary music, the music of the past. And in art, you've got to know more about the history of art, the history of architecture, from the Lascaux caves to Ronchamp. When I went to UBC, we had a very distinguished president. He'd been a senator, he'd been in the First World War, he was one of the great people in education in Canada. He helped form the Canada Council, Dr. Larry Mackenzie. He encouraged good writers to go there. They had Earl Burney, for instance, they had George Woodcock. B.C. Binning had more important in art education than anyone else in Canada. I really mean this. As well as anyone in Canada, B.C. Binning. He encouraged people, he didn't take architecture, but he was the one that sort of encouraged the young artists, Arthur X and Ron Tom, Bing Tom, all these people. So that formed it. And in retrospect, this was the great beginning of something. I hope UBC keeps that going. My best advice to anyone at all is you've got to have an open mind. It's not going and looking at a piece of pop music and say that's junk. A young artist has got to work at it. It's not just to look at one kind of art. It's to go around and see every kind of art that's being produced. All things from conceptual art to figurative art. That's okay. It's figurative work, but I prefer the black ones. And I'm doing this series. No, it keeps me going. I have things in my mind I'm going to keep working on, other ideas. Right now I'm doing these great paintings like that. I work every day, I work every day, I work every day.